Already living in the future. So
Yep.
Nicholas came to me. We had talked for long. Nicholas used to do projects for the production company I ran. He was one of the mastering engineers, and so we've known each other for probably 4 years or so. And we had always talked about little ways of how we could work together. And he said, "Hey," I said, "Hey, you want to do like a podcast? That could be fun." And he was like, "Daniel, I'll only do it." I'm not going to try an Australian accent, but he was like, "I'll only do it if we do it every day." I was like, "Okay, you're insane, but fine, let's do it. Whatever. We'll see how long it lasts.
That's crazy.
We don't have to commit to anything, long term. Let's just do it. It'd be fun. It'll be a fun challenge, right?" And so we did that from October 2019 to April 2020. So kind of like right after the pandemic hit. It was cool. And we did kind of the first season and then kind of ended it. And we had they're deleted now, but we had like an episode. It was like, all right, well, that's it. Like we did our thing and there's over 100 episodes. Enjoy. We kind of said what we needed to say,
Yeah.
So we stopped it for the remainder of 2020 because we both, when Corona hit, I know my thing, and I'm sure Nick went through the same thing of I need to 100% focus on my clients, especially me, because the business development, right? I was like, I need to put all my attention on making sure my clients are going to be okay and get through this because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
Luckily, it ended up being good, but we didn't know at the time. So I was like, I can't mess with I don't really have a lot of content from 2020 because I was 100% focused on making sure the clients got through that year and all of that. So Nick kind of had the same situation. He's got a family, he's got children, all that kind of stuff. So we put it on hold and then we decided to bring it back. It's going to be a little different. It's not going to be daily. I call it a recovering daily podcast. Or an almost daily podcast. There'll be some there'll be some weeks where I do it daily. And there'll be some where we don't. And Nick's just going to chime in maybe a couple times a month he's going to kind of do some interviews and stuff. That's what he's interested in doing. So he's going to do some interviews. And how I used it, what was really fun about it was almost like journaling my day to day developing producers. So I would just kind of get on there like a diary and okay, today this producer ran into this issue or I'm seeing a trend here. And it was fun to do. And I think people got into listening to it almost like a little bit of a radio show. There's a couple daily podcasts I listen to every morning and it's nice having it. It's, something there I can get myself going with.
So it's just those, I guess the first 100 episodes or so is just they're basically monologues, right? It's just it's not necessarily, it's either you or Nick, not necessarily both of you. Yeah.
We only have a couple episodes with both of us. But yeah, usually it's monologue, and his were generally pretty short, snippy, and quick, little tangible pieces of advice. And mine, I kind of would just rant. Rant's probably the wrong word because that gives the end. I don't know. It sounds like angry, but ramble, I guess. Just talk about stuff that's going on. Occasionally, if we were in a pinch, I'd pull maybe some content from other things, other podcast interviews I've been on, or YouTube videos, and
daily is tough to keep up with, man. I don't know.
Yeah, just taking little nuggets from other videos and content and piecing it together. But yeah, for the most part, it was just hey, here's what's going on. And if I couldn't think of something, I'd just be well, let me just do a series. The next 5 episodes are going to be about sample packs, but yeah, most of it's monologues of little lessons going on in the business from the trenches. That's was kind of the point of it.
So, I like that. Yeah, trenches are good. It makes for good content, I feel like. Whatever you're working on now has something that you're doing that's interesting, and if it's interesting to you, it's probably interesting to other people, right? Yeah. I did this interesting thing on this production today. Let me just share this. I should do that more. I should just go on Instagram and show what I do with a plugin. You know what I mean?
Every producer,
people would love that.
I'll make another argument for the internet stuff here, for the online stuff. Most producers that I talk to will say something along the lines of, "Hey, Dan, when I have an artist in the room and they're seeing what I do, or we're having a conversation, I'm giving some advice. I get the project every time. I get the job every time." And I'm well, imagine if 1,000 other people got to be in the room with you in that situation. That's what the internet does, So what you're talking about, I should probably show more of what I'm actually doing day to day. It's because when the artist is sitting in the room with you seeing that shit, they're "Oh, that's awesome. I love this. This is dope. This guy's the shit." But one of the issues with really good producers, they especially if they're like in a music city and have some clients going, they want to transition, they assume everyone knows they're good. And it's like, nah, man, not on the internet. On the internet, you ain't shit. You know, they don't know you. They're, you know, this ain't Nashville anymore, sweetie. They don't know you on the internet. Like, don't assume people know what you can do and what you're capable of. And I think that's why people are like, oh gosh, why are people just like talking about themselves all the time and, you know, showing what they're doing? It's like, well, there's no way around that. I mean, you're doing the same thing when an artist is in the room with you for the meeting. Oh, here's what I've done. Here's my most recent track I've worked on. What are you trying to do? How can we help? It's just, you're doing the same thing. So like, how is it any different? The difference is that more people get to sort of peer into what you do and may want to work with you.
Yeah. So. Do you find that there's like a, you know, platform that's better for, you know, producers in general, or does it depend on who the producer is? You know, like, should we just be all going on TikTok, or should we lean into Instagram?
TikTok's a good one.
Or like, you know, for me, like, I just decided to do a podcast because like I realized at a certain point the only sustainable medium I could do is audio, because otherwise I'm gonna just drown. Like, I can't commit to a vlog. Like, that would end me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Same. Yeah, I don't have anybody that does that. You know, listen, there's a couple of different ways like platforms work, right? So you have places where people are searching for things, Google, YouTube, they're searching how to do something, right? And maybe they discover you that way. And that's kind of a, you know, organic discovery. Generally that takes some time to build up, you know? The only thing, think of it this way. Well, let me finish that thought and I'll go into it. Then you have leverage stuff like, you know, Facebook groups, forums, something where someone else has done all the work to bring a bunch of musicians into one place, right? Think of that as the same as you're going to go to a convention because you want to meet people of similar, you know, interest, right? You know, then you have more of the day-to-day stuff like Instagram, TikTok, where artists are spending a lot of, probably most of their energy because they're promoting themselves there, and that's a way. So like, all of them are fine. Yeah, I mean, if someone is not going to sit down and make videos, then, you know, YouTube's probably not for them. But if they can do little short videos and they don't mind doing that, then maybe they spend more time on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. All the indicator you have to look at is not how many pieces of content, what platform, whatever. How many new artists are you meeting every week? Period. And whatever platform gets you to those connections, having more conversations with the potential, you know, with artists who fit the mold of who you want to work with and serve, then you're doing the right thing. Just focus on that. That's really that's how we measure that's the indicator we use. It isn't amount of likes or how many followers or whatever. It's are we hitting our conversations? Because that's real connections, real relationships. That's how Nick met. Nick was in a group I was in and hit me up. And we didn't have any work from him at the time, but then later we put him on a short list for a project, had 3 or 4 mastering engineers, and that they picked him. And then he became a mastering engineer for us. And then we became friends. Then we started a podcast together. I'm sure we'll do other shit in the future. So like, that's all it is. It's networking. That doesn't change. So with that said,
yeah,
definitely be on TikTok. I've had clients at a girl, Alyssa Wilkins, awesome indie pop producer in California. And I'll be honest, she'll say this too. We've been working together for a while, and it was a bit of a slow burn. And it was a bummer because, like, man, she's really great, and she has a cool looking personality, and she's different, female producer, and crushes it. Like, really great producer. And we just couldn't lock into something. We couldn't find something that she was comfortable doing consistently and all that stuff. And she started getting on TikTok on her own merit. I didn't tell her to do it. She started getting on TikTok, and it's like, here's how I make stuff. Here's me, you know, and you know, it's quirky, it's fun content, and people dig it. And she was on it for a month, and then I was like, well, hey, let's create something. Now that some eyes are on you, let's give them something. Let's give them something back. She put together a cool little document on how her band got like their first 10,000 streams, a little just PDF that she put together, and it walks step by step what they did and how to, you know, have a little successful release with her band. Nothing crazy, right? No platinum record. Just, hey, here's how we got traction on our first song as a brand new band. 300 or 400 people downloaded it, and she got like 4 or 5 projects from it. So we're talking, you know, over 10 grand in work.
Wow.
John McLucas, another one. He'd be great to have on the show. Like, crushing on TikTok. Yeah, it's just the only reason is like whenever a platform's new, the organic reach is better because nobody's buying up a ton of advertising yet, so they have room to. They're just trying to push stuff to get people to use it. At some point, just like all the other platforms, they're going to have to make room for people buying advertisement space, and then that organic will be suppressed because they have to open up more room. So TikTok is just one of those things where it's just
right now it's a good time.
Yeah, it's just a timing thing, really. Yep.
I've been telling this to people. Is like I wish that I could pay Facebook a monthly. You know, I want the organic reach, and I don't want to see any of like the advertisements. Let me pay you like $50 a month, or like that's like a lot of money. But like I would pay $50 a month to have like Facebook Premium. You know, like you have YouTube Premium.
I saw you make a post about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I advertise myself that way, so I'm not going to promote it. I have a lot of clients that would say, in theory, yes, but that's how they met me, and that's how we started working together. So, like, if they had that, if they had that on, they would have never known. We would have never met each other. But I totally get what you're saying. Facebook will probably never do that because they want.
Well, of course not.
They want your data.
Of course. Well, that's kind of my point. Is like I don't want them to use my data, and I don't want them to spam me with marketing. And I want to use it as an organic social media tool, and I can't get off of it. I need it. I would get off of it if I didn't need it. You know what I mean?
I'll say this, and people are probably going to think I'm a Russian spy working for Facebook, but the benefit of that kind of advertising, there's plenty wrong with it. All right, and we don't have to get in that conversation.
Right. We've seen the social dilemma.
I'm not smart enough to have that conversation, honestly, but
don't put yourself down.
But I mean, I don't know. TV commercials bug me more because they're marketing, mini skirts to me. I'm like, well, I'm obviously not the target market for this.
Right.
Not, only on Sundays. But like Facebook, what's cool about it is I get ads for shit I like, man. I mean, not all of them, but I also found some great people. I found my mentors that way, but my business coaches, I found awesome products that I love that way. So, when they get it right, it's actually great. I don't mind being no one wants to be sold to. We all like buying stuff, right?
Right.
If it's cool shit, I want to know about it. Like, and maybe part of that's probably a little bit of American too, right? We're consumer.
Well, yeah, exactly. Capitalism.
It's a bit more capitalist. We're just so used to it. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. When the ads are good, I'm pumped about it. I've had. But sure.
You're right. It's not a continuum. It's a continuum, right? It's not like a black or white situation,
right?
And like everything has its benefits and downsides, right? Like
right. Well, like also when you have ads work for your business, you'll be like, oh well, what have I been doing my entire life? It's like
some people may have come to this podcast through ads because I recently started an ad campaign because
cool.
I was like because organic reach was really difficult. With the podcast, it's very hard to grow organically because there is no social element to it. It's all just like it has to be intense word of mouth or like a friend telling a friend, here, try this episode out. Like otherwise, like no one's gonna find it. So I decided I did like a like you were talking about Alyssa. I did like a PDF, like get on my email list and
from the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just email you the episode every single week. So just subscribe basically.
Yeah.
And so it's been cool, and I've definitely seen an increase in downloads since that happened. And I don't know, where that how that could maybe help me down the line, but having more ears is definitely the goal. Is like I can help more people, and then I'll have a bigger audience. So it's gonna hopefully be a win-win.
It's trickier with, and I don't want to go over time. You let me know when. Just
no, we're good.
We're good. I could talk for a day. I'm good on time. The tricky thing with, if people are wondering about paid ads, because I snuck that comment in there, like, oh, paid ads are the shit. Here's something to know, though. Here's something to know.
Yeah.
The way that it's an interesting thing for producers, because the way that people hire producers is just not like that way, right? Producers are usually hired on like, reputation, relationship, that kind of stuff. And you're not going to get that when someone immediately clicks your ad and hires you.
Right. That's definitely not going to be the right client also.
Yes. Great point. You can get